All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for this 15-minute franchisee interview. My name is Jenna. I am the Director of Franchise Development here with Right at Home, and so looking forward to talking with you today. So let's get started with introductions. Go ahead and share a little bit about yourself, your territories, where you're located, and when you became a Right at Home owner.
Oh, thank you, Jenna, and thank you for having me here. So my name's Dan. I'm in Virginia Beach, and I have several territories, three, in fact, in the what's known as the Hampton Roads area of Southeast Virginia. That includes Chesapeake, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, and some of the surrounding areas as well. And I've
Wonderful.
been an owner for about a year, just a little over a year.
All right. Well, congratulations on your 1 year. It's
Thank you.
exciting. All right. Excited to hear some insights from a newer owner in the system. So, talk to us a little bit about your background before you became an owner.
Yeah, so I went to UNC Chapel Hill. It's when my undergrad alma mater, and after that, had a couple different careers. I was a teacher, would teach for America for a couple years, as well as abroad. And then I went to business school and ultimately ended up in marketing and brand management. First with Keurig, the coffee company, did that for about 10 years, and then with a small startup out of the Netherlands, specializing in espresso machines. So pretty much all sales and marketing. Along the way, I was also in the Navy. So I was a Navy supply officer, still am in the Navy Reserves. And that's what I was doing just immediately prior to becoming an owner here in the system.
All right. So, talk to us a little bit about that background and going into senior care, right? So talk to us a little bit about that pivot in your life.
Yeah, it definitely was an industry pivot, but it was something that was very familiar to me from an terms of service, and that's really what I was looking for when I was looking at buying a business. Something that had always been of interest to me, getting in business for myself. But whatever I did, I wanted to make sure that it was service oriented, that it had a mission focus, and that it was connected to the community.
Mm,
When I look back at my corporate career, I had a great time in coffee. Coffee's a fun business. People love coffee.
yeah.
But what really drove me was my time in the Navy. What really set it apart is something that, knowing that I was contributing to a greater mission, that I was working
Mm,
with a great team of mission-focused people. And so that's really what I wanted when I was looking at businesses. And
mhm,
the opportunity came to buy this territory. It was a resale it was actually a right-at-home owned franchise area. And really from the very first time I started talking to other owners, I realized that this was exactly what I was looking for.
mhm,
In addition, my family had had some experience with home care. My grandfather was a World War II veteran,
mm.
lived all the way to 101 years old, and
Wow.
up until the age of 99, he was
Wow.
living independently in his home, thanks in part to the care that was provided by really high quality caregivers in our community.
Mhm,
And so just reflecting on that and realizing just how important that had been to our family and to my
mhm.
grandfather, but also, being able to provide a home for our family to go back to, right? Because he was in the home, he was happy, he was thriving.
Yeah.
And so that allowed us a place to go as a family and for my own children to have memories with him. And so I wanted to bring that type of experience to my community. And so it became kind of a natural fit from a mission standpoint to be able to say, hey, this is something that I think my business skill set, as
Mhm,
well as my mission oriented drive can
mhm.
kind of come together in the form of this home care business.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that and thank you for your service to our country. What a neat story for your children to be able to have that relationship with their grandfather because of the care that he deserved and received as well. So I know mission is really important to you, as you stated. So, what was it about Right at Home that made you decide to pick Right at Home over the others?
Yeah, I think it was the authenticity. I mean, the words, right? We want to, improve the lives of everyone we touch, right? And we want to be able to give back to our communities. But for me, it was every owner that I had spoken to along the journey as I was doing my investigations and kind of understanding more about the franchise, as well as staff members within Right at Home Corporate, led me to believe it wasn't just, a phrase. These people believed it, right? That was
Mhm.
there may be easier ways to make a dollar in many other industries one could go into, but everyone said, hey, this is not only financially fulfilling, but it's personally fulfilling, right? And that was where they led, right? It wasn't just about the economics of the business. People loved going to work because they loved what they did and it had a purpose. And so understanding that this was a team of people who really believed in that, and also kind of looking at the right at home corporate structure, right? See, right at home's CEO, right? Been there for 15 years, right?
Mhm.
And she's from a medical background. So, not just a franchise background. That really made impact to me that like this whole team from the top down
Mhm.
believes in this mission, right? It's not just about franchise growth and the economics of it, even though those are also obviously very, very attractive.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And, being new into the business, as you mentioned, 1 year, talk to us a little bit about what your typical day looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it can vary. So for me as a newer owner, and coming from a sales and marketing background, a lot of my time is spent on sales and marketing. So I am kind of the face of the company. I go out. We just hired our first full-time marketer, actually, and so I've been kind of onboarding her. But generally speaking, I try to actually start my day outside of the office. So I'll, start just going to referral sources. So that could be rehabs, it could be hospitals, could be assisted livings or networking events,
Mhm.
going to these throughout the community, trying to build those relationships, maintain those relationships with the ultimate goal of getting those referrals for
Mm-hmm.
seniors who are in need of
Yes.
care. Then I usually come back into the office. There's always something to do, right? There could be HR things. I also handle the financials, so always trying to stay on top of that. Making calls to, for referrals that we have gotten
Mm-hmm.
come in and scheduling those client assessments and ultimately getting them started with care.
Mm-hmm.
And there's checking in with the team and just making sure, hey, what's the hot buttons? What do we need to take care of today to make sure that we're, providing quality care?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And, when you think of the support structure Right at Home does provide our owners, which part have you felt to be the most valuable to you?
Yeah. For me, I'd say, especially at the start, it was the coaching, right? So having an onboarding coach, and then, ultimately now I just recently joined a performance group. I think some of that formalized coaching, is really great, not just to have an individual, but those coaches, they know other members, right? And so they know if they don't know somebody within the system, another owner who's gone through the same thing or might have some information, they can put you in touch with somebody who does. So having those folks to help us navigate all the
Mhm.
different resources, because with a franchise as large as Right at Homes, that's really I'd say the main struggle is the information's there, it's just how do you
Mhm.
access it? And to have someone who's, really only an email or a call away to be able to help me get in touch with folks who, have gone through the same thing. They might have a vendor that they really like that, I'm looking into, or they might have a certain way of billing, or they might, have a whole different revenue stream that I haven't even thought of. It's just having
Mhm.
those resources put together. That's really what has been most valuable to me.
That's great. And so then really the coaches allow you to collaborate with others in the system based on what your needs are. So I love that. And then can you speak a little bit more to what a performance group is?
Yeah, so a performance group is really it's a group of like-minded owners who, the my group is about eight, and what we do is we come together multiple times a year to obviously talk about our business, to investigate each other's businesses, and to understand what our goals are, so that we can kind of, in a more formal way than through the informal collaboration that I mentioned before,
Mhm.
really get to the heart of whatever issue or roadblock or thing that we want to tackle to accelerate our growth. And
Mhm.
so there's mutually supportive community. We all sign NDAs, so we all see each other's financials, and we're able to kind of really act as almost like an informal board of directors for each other
Mhm.
to help each other with whatever goal that might be. It might be growth, might be profitability, could be any number of things that we as individual owners want to attain for our business.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And then when you think of the business we're in, as you mentioned, it's about building those relationships in your community and then serving the clients and the families, as well as your staff. I'd love for you to share a recent story of a moment that made you really feel good or where you really knew that you made an impact or a difference in someone's life.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, it's funny. Actually, I mentioned we just hired a full-time marketer.
Mhm.
So I wasn't actually I had the goal of hiring one at some point during this year. But I got a call out of the blue from the daughter of one of our clients who is on hospice. And she asked, "Hey, is there an opportunity to work with your company? You guys have been such a blessing for my father, and we love our caregivers. We love the time. She had a sales background. She was working kind of in our industry or tangential to our industry.
Mhm.
And she said, I know what I want to do. I want to work for someone like you, and I want to work for someone like right at home that, seeing what you all have been able to do for my father, I want to bring that to other families. And,
Mhm.
it just serendipitous, right? That
Yeah.
I would happen to be looking for someone. And here came someone with a background in sales who saw the uh, everything that we can provide, what home care can provide, and whose family had such a positive experience. She wanted to, really change the trajectory of her career and join our team, which is amazing to me. So I feel
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
blessed in that regard.
Absolutely. Kudos to you and your team for delivering that excellence. And, I've really enjoyed our time together and it's already coming to an end, Dan. But, as candidates are thinking about that next step, just like you were a year ago, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is, currently looking at the right at home system?
Yeah, I would say certainly, do all your research that you can. I would say, do those investigatory calls,
Mhm.
calling through obviously looking through the FDE or FDD and looking at the names in the back. Call as many owners and staff members as you can.
Mhm.
Everyone I've talked to in our system has been super helpful, more than willing to talk. And those were folks who I just found it gave me not just validation around the concept of the franchise, but also the culture. And I think that's so important. You have to have a good culture and people who feel that they're truly part of a team, that we're all rowing in the same direction. And so, regardless of whether they're looking at the right at home franchise or a different opportunity, I would say talk to the people who are already doing it because
Mhm.
more than likely they're going to give you their time and you're going to get a lot of crucial insight into the opportunity by talking to those folks.
Great advice. Thank you. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're wearing a lot of hats to share your story with us, and we're really grateful for you and again, your service to our country. So thank you again for that. And really, your commitment to helping seniors and adults with disabilities with the care and support that they need to be able to remain at home. And we're so very thankful that we have you as a part of the Right at Home family, and it's evident you align with our mission to improve the quality of life for those that we serve. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Jenna. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.